Attention, please be advised. The following episode contains spoilers. Don't say we didn't warn you.
It's all connected.
Yeah.
Hail Hydra.
What? No!
Nerd On.
What is, everybody?
What is?
Welcome to Nerd On.
Pregnant pause.
I'm so proud of you.
The podcast you didn't need, but you deserve.
You do deserve it.
I can't wait
Man,
for like years.
Where all levels of nerd are welcome, Tom.
I can't wait for like years later when people are like, we're going to learn how people talked in their dialects. And they're like, why do they say what is? And they were like, we know
Are they
y'all.
confused at what
This was
people
before they
are? What
evolved.
We know
is
This
salutations.
The only soundbite that exists.
We know greetings, but we don't know what is.
They were confused of who they were addressing. What is everyone?
It's almost as if they
no.
were so lazy that they didn't feel like saying some of the words.
But
Well, it's like having
It's
brain farts.
overanalyzed as Shakespeare.
what are we doing here today, Josh?
Well, first of all, a little bit of business. This episode is brought to you in part by our patrons over at
Patreon.
Yeah.
You get mad when I do that.
Because
But I smile and I look at Josh when I do it.
It
and
was a
not in
teamwork
mean
thing.
way. It
Yours
was
is out of
teamwork.
spite.
Yeah.
No, I just want to do it.
You know
Big
it's true.
difference.
It's a little
Real
big
quick, I'm
difference.
Josh.
Ollie.
I'm Tom.
I'm Corey, rude boy in the lot.
I'm Kaylin, not the rude boy.
Oh.
Rude lass.
And today we're kicking it old school.
Mm-hmm.
We're going back to 1993.
Tickle that nostalgia a little bit.
Yeah.
I was 2.
It's around that time of year.
It is October.
Mhm.
And so we thought we would do, would you call it a classic? I would call it a
yes.
classic.
Classic.
It's a cult classic.
100%.
Yeah.
Cult classic.
Cult classic.
We
And I'll tell-
talking,
I'll say why.
we talking Hocus Pocus,
Yes, we
everybody.
are.
It's nothing but hocus pocus.
Yeah.
Magic.
Hocus Pocus.
Pocus.
And in some countries, it's abracadabra.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Is it
Yeah.
really?
Mhm.
Oh,
I don't know
wow.
why. Okay.
Abracadabra.
But needless to say, spoilers, 15 years.
If you haven't seen this
15
movie,
years?
More than that.
More than that.
It
Get
is
a time machine.
2018. It
25
came out in
25 years.
1993.
Same year as the Power Rangers, baby.
I wish I was 10 years younger.
wow.
Tom does math.
Tom does math.
Why Tom chose film
Yep.
So what we're going to do first
is
is we are going to guess
that
Wow, that song gets
Wow.
worse
every
every
time.
We're still waiting for
turn to the
the.
Dragon Zords.
Yeah.
We're waiting for the user submitted little interlude there.
It'll happen.
Yeah.
One day.
But yes,
Just keep making it worse until someone goes, fuck, I'm going to make my own.
Yeah.
if you are brand new to the show, Guess That Grump is a segment that we all together amongst ourselves, 5 of us will rate the piece of art that we're talking about. If it can be rated, some things can't be. And it's out of 1 out of 5. And whoever has the lowest rating is the grump of the day or of the week, of the night, whatever you want to be.
Technically the week.
Of the week.
Yeah.
Week.
So yes, we're going to, and it's really kind of based on our total analysis, discussion, and initial reactions.
All right.
So who wants to go first in
You
the
did, because
voting?
you described it so well.
I vote that Ollie will be the grump.
That's not fair. You know, extra information.
I just know more than
What?
most people.
See, I was actually going to pick you too, Ollie.
Well, hold on. Well, I mean, you know, I saw The Dark Knight for the first time
Dark Knight Returns?
right when I saw it. Yeah, and like when it came out, and 2 hours later, and it was like my favorite movie ever.
Yeah,
So
but
I could
you're
have
talking
seen-
about, you saw it in the time that it was made.
Yeah.
This was made 25 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
And has some tropes from 25 years ago and some feels from 25 years ago. It's a very different situation.
Yes.
I'll still argue that point.
But
Because I saw Breakfast Club
I
like
do declare.
not like relatively not too long ago.
Yeah.
And I love that. And it's like
That's fair.
an amazing.
You don't have to defend someone's judgment against you right now. Okay,
Okay.
we're just
Yeah.
we're just
All right.
guessing that you.
I'm just saying you don't know all the.
That's
you
a
don't
better
know.
that's a better argument.
Corey, who are you gonna guess?
For the sake of mixing things up,
No, you can be honest. It's
Whatever
okay.
you want.
Tom.
Okay.
You can say me if you want.
No, Tom.
He's like, no, I picked Tom.
Josh.
I am going to pick Ollie.
Okay.
So 3 on Ollie, 1 on me.
All right.
Wait, is that right? No,
No,
2 on Ollie.
Ollie still has
3.
to pick.
No.
Oh yeah, yeah.
1 me.
I'm gonna go Caitlin.
Huh.
All right.
1
Interesting.
Caitlin, 1 Tom, 2 on Ollie.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
You did that out of
So that means
spite.
we get to rate first.
Yay!
Yay.
They're gonna be 5s. Anyway, so
Don't you assume?
before we get started with our discussion, Josh, would you like to give a little brief synopsis of this?
Now, for those of you who don't understand what he said because he didn't say anything, he's trying to say, Josh, can you give us our brief synopsis?
Oh, our initial reactions first, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
That is, I mean, that's how we've been doing the show
Right.
for
Yeah.
over a year now.
I'm a little
So,
crazy right now.
It's all
cool.
good.
I don't remember my first time seeing it,
Oh, man.
but it has become a staple that as far back as I can remember. So I'm sure I saw it with my family the first year because I know my mom is a fan of Bette Midler. Shout out to my mom.
Shout out.
So I figure we probably saw it then, and then I've just been watching it every year ever since. It's one of those staple. It's like when Christmas comes around, I watch the Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Halloween comes around, I watch Hocus Pocus.
Tim Allen.
Fair.
So, it's like, yeah, tradition.
That's fair. It was about the same for me. It's also kind of one of those like, you know, when you like a movie so much that you could like karate kick in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
picked it wrong.
I do.
Yeah.
God damn it.
It's kind of
Yeah,
Hocus
Ollie,
Pocus.
you might have guessed wrong.
I think you guessed wrong, guy.
Body kicked it in the air.
No, I really liked Hocus Pocus, and like, I actually didn't rewatch it before doing the show because I had seen it so many times, and I wanted to rely on just my memory of having watched it multiple times. Yeah, and also I know you guys are packed with fun trivia all the time, so
All the
I get to
time.
have new little nuggets of information today.
Little souvenirs from the gift shop.
Souvenirs from the gift shop. Yeah, so movie's great. I like it.
I like the movie.
I like
Josh.
the movie.
What's yours?
So, I like my childhood.
Yeah.
That's why we have you guys sitting next to each other, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We like to like hold hands and
Reminds me of what
talk
it felt
about how
like to be
great it
happy.
is. Yeah.
And-
Remember when we used to hold hands, Corey?
They can hold my hand.
I'll hold your hand.
Aw.
We're the 2 grumpiest ones, apparently.
So sweet.
Sweet.
Qualms and gripes together.
It's the grump seat.
I can't remember the first time, but much.
I
as
always
it
remember
has
my
been.
first time.
Okay, so came out in 93, so I was 8. I don't really remember seeing it for the first time, but I do remember like every year the Disney Channel would show it on Halloween, and
Of course.
Mhm.
I would always watch it, and I've always loved the movie. So
I've always loved
Love
It's
the
just-
movie.
it's just kind of a silly. I mean, I think you said it, Corey. Kind of the tropes of the time,
Uh-huh.
and we can get into those later. But yeah, it's just a fun, silly movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ollie?
it's weird to call them tropes of the time.
Yeah.
Because to me, I just call it flavors of the time.
Flavors
That's
of the
fine.
time.
Because like, oh, that's that flavor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mm,
We
Like you watch something in the 50s, like, oh, there's a little bit of like communism propaganda or some shit. Later
Just
on in the
those two
70s.
words.
Flavors of
those
propaganda.
2 words
Yeah.
to me though, trope and time just sound so good
Oh,
together.
so familiar. It's like as if it should be a show or something.
Interesting.
Brought to you by Troutman.
Ollie, what part of your childhood did you watch it? I feel like you have to give this a 0.2 star
Up.
because you watched it on a phone for the first time.
Okay,
Oh,
fair enough.
that's true.
Yeah.
You can't
Um,
experience it the same way.
I'm sure. I'm sure it's not the same.
You have to experience
Sure,
it
I
on
have
a
to
square
experience
TV.
it. Well, Square TV, but like I probably have to see it at home, like
On
during
Disney
Halloween,
Channel
on
with,
Disney-
some, with some commercials.
Get the old school Disney opening.
Oh, that's it? That's your initial
That's
reaction?
it.
no.
It's just I watched
So-
it.
No,
I watched the movie.
no, it was a good movie. I liked it. It was fun.
Tom.
But
Okay, that's it. That's it.
We'll get
That's it.
into
That's
it.
initial
okay.
reaction.
All right. All right.
Similar in a way where I remember as a kid watching it, and I grew up with an older sister, and I remember she loved the shit out of this movie. Shout out to my sister Tammy. And
Shout out to Tammy.
Tommy's Tammy.
Yeah.
Tammy.
I think I have bigger memories of Casper,
Hmm.
and so
Oh,
when I
yeah.
watched that, it
Yeah.
reminded me of Casper a
Also,
lot.
that one
Just
was
kind of
good.
like very similar, not art style, but almost very similar, like effects and everything like that, and like
Yeah.
it's the Halloween
Ambiance.
A lot of the movies at this time kind of had the same.
aesthetic.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know
aesthetic.
how I never managed to see it. Like
Hocus
it's
Pocus?
kind of bewildering, to be honest.
Yeah.
Life happens
Like it just
that way.
never like nothing.
I
drew
never
me
saw
to
Rocky
it.
till this year, so
We
it
didn't
happens.
we didn't have
Welcome.
Disney Channel though when I was a kid. We had
That's what it was.
Nickelodeon.
That's what it was.
And then we had limited access to whatever. Like I might have been scared of it or not excited about it. I don't know.
Having limited access to that kind of stuff. That's
Yeah.
a
I mean, to me,
Great reason why
when
you
we
didn't
got
see it.
Disney
Yeah.
Channel as a kid, I was like, oh, we kind of rich now, baby. We got,
Oh my
we got two places to watch shit now. Got Nickelodeon, got Cartoon Network, got WB, got Disney Channel. Oh my god!
imagine if you were allowed to use the washer, Tom.
Hold for
The
what?
dishwasher.
Oh, I know.
Would have been a whole life of luxury for you.
I would have had so much more time.
See,
Yeah.
to me, Disney Channel was always, not to go on a tangent, but Disney Channel was, to me, was always kind of like the lesser than like Disney proper film.
How dare you?
I will say like this: some of the movies,
I don't know.
Fighting words.
some of the movies look like children's Lifetime movies.
Yeah.
Like they look
Yeah.
it, but then they're so fun, and they have like such like a rich like lean into the genre they're in that like. To me as a kid, it's like I'm watching a movie about a mermaid. I'm okay with that. I'm watching
Yeah.
about like leprechauns.
Because I had all the white tapes, just watch those over and over again.
There you go.
That was my Disney.
That was your
intake.
thing.
Man, Tom was
yeah, because
being
those are
like
motion pictures.
joyful
I mean.
about that for a minute, and I almost got uncomfortable. I was like, "Who is this person?"
No, it's like MCU versus like Netflix Marvel
Got it.
to me.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. But so for my initial reaction, like I remember watching this as a kid, and I wasn't that much into it. And I know, like as years kept going on, my sister's like, "Oh, Hocus Pocus! Oh, Hocus Pocus!" Right? My mom loved it too because she loves Bette Midler. And then I'm like, "What's the big deal?" Right? And I'm like, "I don't get it." And then as I kept growing up, like I kept meeting new people and having friends and shit like that. Surprisingly, and then they were like,
kind of made it
"Hocus
sound
Pocus."
like a hobby. As I continue to grow up.
As I continue, whatever. It's a choice. And Hocus Pocus became more and more important and valuable to the people that I hung out with during
Yeah.
Halloween times. Like to me, Nightmare Before Christmas is my Halloween movie to watch.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right? Or
Yep.
Casper or other ones or scary movies actually. And then like everyone's like, Hocus Pocus is one of mine. I'm like, why? But why? Right? And then later on as an adult, I'm like, I get it. I literally see the gem for what it is.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to kind of think about a time in, Disney history when movies were made that way. And it is like, I say this term a lot, it's a time capsule of, the filmmaking industry of the time. And it's really kind of cool. And I actually did like a bit of like research of like how the film was made and like why it was kind of like so heralded at the moment. But like where it's at right now is kind of a place where there's no real way they could have planned for this.
Right.
Mm.
And that's a really cool thing.
Yep.
But yeah, that's me. That's me.
All right. Now, Josh, can
Now
you do as Tom
synopsisizing.
says it? The brief.
I'm trying to say it like George Bush, synopsisizing.
Oh no!
Synopsisizing.
So this is an hour and a half movie, so it should only take me a couple minutes.
Yep. Yep.
So the movie starts off in 1693, I believe it is.
Uh-huh.
And we
300 years before the movie comes out.
we got some witches, and they taking little kids in this little.
Who are these witches?
Sanders.
The Sanderson Sisters.
Mm.
And they're taking little kids. The movie kind of opens up with Thackeray Binks waking up and his little sister's gone. And all of the older brothers, right, are kind of like wandering around the town, like, where's all the little kids?
Yeah.
And he sees like way off in the distance his little sisters wandering off into the woods with one of the Sanderson sisters. And he follows them to their little hut or cabin in the woods.
Mm.
And
Yeah, I think it's witches have huts.
yeah,
That
witches
sounds
have
right.
huts. And he finds out that they're doing this like little kind of like, what'd you call that? Conjuring or
That's what they say.
spell.
They're
Ritual.
mixing a potion.
Ritual. That's a good
Yes.
word. Ritual. They're mixing a potion to suck the life out of his
A
little
life
sister.
potion, life stealing potion.
And so he tries to get in the way. He can't really. And then they essentially kill his sister, right?
Suck
I mean,
her soul
we just
out.
in
yeah,
They reverse vape.
it's a Disney movie where they kill a kid in the first 10 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is- damn.
Yeah.
And they torture Thackeray.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
torture him a little, Cruciatus curse a little
Mhm.
bit, and then they turn him into a cat, so he has to live forever with the guilt of not being able to save his sister.
Which is pretty messed up.
Yeah.
That's really
He's an,
dark.
He's an
Yeah.
undying cat.
And then,
It's kinda
you
dark.
know, as classic you would go, the mob comes, takes the Sanderson sisters, and hangs them. But before that,
From the neck till they're dead.
yeah,
Disney
they're dead.
movie.
Short drop and a sudden stop,
Yeah.
as they say in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yep.
But before that,
Yeah, the Disney movie.
the main Sanderson sister, I'm forgetting their names for some reason.
It is
It is
Winnie.
Winifred, Mary, and Sarah.
Yeah. They conjure a spell because the book is magical and finds like a book.
That's how we call it.
That basically, I'm kind of unclear. Basically, brings him back to life at some point because of a
Hallows
candle.
Eve.
They basically imbue this candle with like a spell that says if a virgin lights the candle
Don't look at me, Ollie.
on Halloween, that they will be returned,
Yes.
and they are
For one night.
And so
Transfer back. Well, transfer forward
Fast forward.
to October 31st, 1993,
still in Salem.
and Max, our hero,
Tie-dye wearing hero.
Maximilian, new
our
kid in
anti-hero.
town.
Would you call him an anti-hero?
No, he's a hero.
No, he's a cool guy.
Hero.
Okay. He's new kid in town. He's from California, bruh.
L.A.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Los
LA.
Angeles.
Yeah.
And he thinks all this like town stuff, like this town stories are bullshit. And so
Bullshit, all of it.
bullshit. That night, his parents force him to take his little sister, Danny, out trick-or-treating. He
But-
does have a crush
Yeah.
on this Bay.
Meets the Bay.
Um,
Baylison.
Allison.
So, but he's also that teenager that's like, oh man, I don't want to do this. But he takes her out trick or treating. At one point, he ends up at his crush's house, and then somehow they end up going out trick or treating because she wants to show him the graveyard, right?
The museum.
The museum
The museum,
that
which is
takes
their,
place
which is
at
their
the
house.
house.
The
and
Sanderson Sisters
house.
The
Museum.
candle is there, and he's like, oh, this is bullshit. And he brings out a Zippo and he lights it, and then all hell breaks loose.
Mm.
The
Literally.
Sanderson sisters come back.
He is warned before, though, by a black cat, which is Binks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he lights the candle. They're back. Binks bitch slaps him,
Yeah.
which I loved. We gotta go now.
Well, it's not warned by him.
It was attacked by him.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah,
that's
he
a
tries to
sign.
bites his
stop
neck
They
or
don't know
something.
that he can talk yet until this moment when he's like, bitch, get up.
Yeah.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
basically what
Yeah.
he said.
Mhm.
So the Sanderson sisters basically get back to their old hijinks. They are trying to lure all of the kids so they can make their life potion.
Mhm.
Become
But Max and his sister and his bae, what's his bae's name?
Allison.
Allison. They stole the book.
Book.
They stole the book. So obviously the Sanderson
Nice.
sisters are trying to get to them. Binks tells them, hey, let's go to the graveyard.
It's hollowed ground.
It's hollowed ground. They can't go there. This is when the Sanderson sisters bring life
Billy.
to life Billy,
Billy.
by Doug Jones.
Doug
I'm
Jones.
gonna talk- I'm gonna talk about that in a bit.
Jones.
Um, and so
Abe Sapien, baby.
all of this is going on. Meanwhile, the parents are at their kind of party.
Dancing it
And
up, being Madonna and Dracula. You know how it is.
The kids are trying to find them, and they
Tell
go
him
there.
what's going on.
Tell them what's going on. Sanderson sisters show up. I'm skipping a whole bunch, but
It's
it's fine.
Yeah.
Well, just like hilarity ensues while they cope with the 20th century.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's fish
kinda
out of
like the
water
whole
comedy.
backdrop.
They're
Fish out of water. Yeah.
Yeah.
they don't understand Halloween. Like everybody's dressed
Mhm.
up as witches and ghouls and all this kind of stuff, and they're like, "What? But I smell children."
Yeah.
So the Sanderson sisters put all the parents under a spell, and the
Dance
kids
till
get
you die spell.
get the F out. Wow, I'm blanking.
That's okay. So they bring him to a school because they're gonna trick him and put him in an incinerator
Furnace. Yeah.
Yeah.
and burn him alive. And they do.
They do.
But
They
guess what?
Nothing dark about that.
They don't die. That
Yeah.
wasn't enough.
They go back to Max's house.
That was funny.
Meanwhile, Max and everybody's like, "Oh, cool! So
We did
glad
it.
that's over."
Yeah.
Netflix and chill.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to their place.
Yeah.
Little sisters.
They
asleep.
open up the Sanderson sisters go back to their hut,
They're alive. Yeah.
and they're really sad and all this kind of
they don't
stuff.
have their brooms
They're
anymore.
sad, and they're
They
like,
have-
"Oh, we don't have the book." Meanwhile, Max and Allison are hanging out, cuddling, and she's like,
Flirting.
"Oh, let's look at the book." And they open it up, and Thackeray Binks is like, "What the?"
You mustn't read from the book.
Yeah. And the book sends up a beam and
Conjuring.
shows the
It's a beacon.
the
It's a
beacon.
beacon.
Yeah. The witches where the book is. They go there.
Breath
They
of the
have
Wild
some
beacon.
shiz
On
up.
vacuums.
On vacuums, brooms, and a mop.
And a mop.
Um,
Yes.
They take Danny, his little sister, because they're going to do that little
Potion
ritual
thing.
on her.
Sing
And
that song. Come little.
so they run to the witch hut. They get there.
free
Max
Danny.
actually takes the potion instead, so he can save his sister.
He's like, take me instead.
Thackeray Binks is like, "Oh man, I
Mhm.
should have thought about that." But
He's a better brother than me. I have all this guilt.
eventually, oh yeah, they're running. They're getting away. They're going back to the graveyard on hallowed ground.
Mhm.
We find out that Billy is actually
Oh,
a good
Billy.
guy.
Good guy, Billy.
Good guy Billy.
Well,
Calls her- I
he's
believe
not really a
calls
good
her
guy. He
bitch.
just
Yeah.
he calls her a wench.
Wench.
A wench.
Does he?
Wench.
He calls her a wench. They're gonna call her bitch, but then
Wench.
they say it was too much.
Oh, okay. I was like, I recall them saying that.
Yeah.
But maybe
For some
It's
reason, I'm
wench.
kind of thinking that they did and then changed it. I don't know.
that's what I'm
But
thinking.
like it's not that he's really a good guy. It's more that he just hates Winnie.
Yeah.
And the only reason he was like in prison is because like he was flirting with Sarah.
Yeah.
And then,
She sewed his mouth shut.
but yeah, so
And buried him.
they pretty much get to a stalemate at the Hollowed Ground,
Yeah.
and then get to the point where like Winnie's trying to steal this life soul out of Max, and then she's like falling on Hollowed Ground, and then she becomes a stone. The sun's coming up, and then the spell's wearing off, and they all explode.
Yeah.
Bing, bada, boom, done. And then the spell's done.
And
Everyone starts,
Thackeray is back to being a ghost.
He dies.
His sister's like,
Reunited with his sister.
reunited with his sister. Billy goes back to sleep in his grave.
Yep.
The parents are done dancing and going to go
and
probably have a lot of
they
children.
walk off into the sunset.
Yeah.
Thackeray and his sister.
And then the eyeball of the book opens up one more time.
Yeah, and then
And we're left going, is there Hocus?
Continuation.
So yeah, that would conclude the movie. It's a shorter movie, but it's a lot of fun. And the cool thing I think Corey mentions, kind of like with Jurassic Park 3, it's quick, fast, and in a hurry. You really hardly feel that there's any pause time because we're just kind of moving to the next portion.
Mhm.
But the cool thing, I remember watching it again as like an adult. Watching it in prep for this episode, I'm like, geez, these witches are like kind of dumb, right? And I'm like, it's just very.
well, they're dealing with the
But it's like they're Home Alone sticky bandits dumb.
Oh,
like,
okay.
The
But the world
fiery
is incredibly
rains of
different.
blah blah blah. I'm like,
Well, because
ugh.
that's a sprinkler system. And they can't deal with it.
But
Tom.
it's just kind of fun because you're like, what is it? Like whatever old witches can't stand against 21st century minds. Like, yeah, that's 100% true. Like we can take them out. It's
Yeah.
fine. But yeah, so I mean, there's a lot to be said with this movie. It was directed by Kenny Ortega, who did the Newsies right before this movie.
Yeah.
Also
my
did High School
jam.
Musical 1 and 2, and did This
Yeah,
Is It documentary about
Zephron.
MJ. Well, I mean, so like he's had experience working with children, has working
Right.
experience with like music and kind of like big group choreography sequences. The cool thing I thought about the film while I was doing like some digging was the writing, or no, the producer, David Kirshner, who produced Child's Play 1 and 2, the Chucky, movies,
Oh.
American Tail,
Bill and Ted, bro.
Bill and Ted,
Flintstones.
Titan AE, which is a great animated movie. But those are like all cult classic stuff. What?
Page Master.
Page
Yo!
Master.
I just
I
couldn't
love-
let that one go unmentioned because that's a future episode and a half.
And so I mean,
Haven't seen it.
there's a lot.
Macaulay Culkin.
I haven't either.
Oh my
So-
god.
I'm
Corey's
sorry.
like
Oh, no.
shriveling into nothingness,
but
like
the cool
a black
thing-
hole is eating his body.
So
I quit.
the cool thing about Page Master and American Tail.
I'm so sorry. So real quick,
Yeah.
because you've mentioned this on the show before.
Yeah.
Is this the time when you were out of the States?
I don't know what year.
Early 90s?
What year?
Like
Well, this was
93.
93, but do you like what kind of time frame?
I'm trying to
Because
think.
that to me, I'm like, oh,
How
but he
old
was
was
out of
I?
the States for a while.
Page
So
Master was the next year, 94.
Yeah, it was.
okay, so that
explains it.
completely makes sense.
Yeah, like
to me.
93
You
through 5.
Don't have an excuse.
No, I don't.
Well,
But that's okay.
I'm gonna say
Yeah.
the cool thing about Page Master and American Tail, those kind of movies were like animated films, but like really dark and somber themes within
Mm.
them. And those
Well, not dark and somber so much as mature.
mature. I
They
mean,
were a
like
little more mature than
the
being like, hey,
immigration-
let's talk to kids.
like
Yeah.
the hardships of immigration to like
Yeah.
America, but doing with mice and cats, which
Didn't
is
treat their audience
it's
as stupid.
crazy. And that's what they were really focusing on Hocus Pocus. They wanted to have a lot of adult themed jokes. They wanted to have like, there's a lot of like cursing in there but then again, times were a little different back in the day. So
Times are
like
very
yeah.
different.
they could say things like that. And the one thing where they stopped was saying bitch.
Yep.
So
And
I
it
was
wasn't even
like-
them, right? It was
it was
Doug
the writer.
Jones.
No, it was the writer.
Was
I
it?
thought I read that
Doug Jones was willing to say it.
I thought I read something different, but
But like things like that where it's like they can say the hell with you or damn it, and it's like,
Yeah.
damn, this is a kids movie, baby.
Yeah.
Um,
what was funny is I was watching it in preparation for this, and with my adult eyes, my adult brain, I was like, whoa, it's kind of like rewatching Ren and Stimpy or something and going, oh.
I don't know if this
Or
is
even
gonna-
SpongeBob SquarePants, and you're going, oh.
If my mom would have heard those words, I would have stopped. Like that would have been turned off.
I mean, this might be someone's favorite part, but when Sarah Jessica Parker says like we're looking for children, And the bus
Yeah.
driver says,
When
"Oh,
he says that.
it'll give me a 1 or 2 tries, but I can make it happen."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That,
I'm like,
that movie would have
damn.
been immediately turned off for me.
Yeah.
I didn't see that. I was like, I don't remember that as a child. Like, because you don't get those things. It's like, that doesn't matter.
When he looks at him and goes, "We seek children."
I said this before because my parents wouldn't let me watch The Simpsons because Bart at some point says the word hell.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, is there any there's a lot of really cool things to kind of unpackage with it. Do we want to go to our favorite parts first? Or we want to talk a little bit about the movie.
Mm.
I'd like to talk more about the movie a little bit.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Because that's the thing is like I'm
you're kind
devoid of all context.
You're out of context. So I mean,
Yeah.
like, for me, I was slightly out of context, and in like it only really to me made like the only reason like I thought of like why it was so big is because Bette Midler was huge during that time.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
Broadway, huge. Like in different interviews, like Sarah Jessica Parker and then Najami.
Mhm.
I forget her first name, Kathy
Yeah.
Najami. The 2 other witches.
Mhm.
Fucking looked the shit up to her. Like she was like goddess, or she still is goddess. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like
Always.
and like Sarah Jessica Parker had the same vocal coach as Bette Midler did, and so
Yeah.
like there
And
was
she
just
was
so
a
much-
Broadway person as
Yeah.
well.
Doug
so-
Jones looked up to her a lot too. There
Yeah,
was something she had said that got him through like some really dark times with his. So he was really excited to work with her.
And Bette
Mm.
Midler, it's like, for the younger audience members who are not of the initiated,
And me.
is a legend. And even to this point, like you may not be familiar with their work, but you know her name.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
thing is, this is her quote unquote on record favorite role she's ever played.
Yeah.
When
Yeah, I couldn't name a single other movie of hers.
and she she pretty much like everyone really looked up to her on set. She said it was a lot of fun. She said it's the most fun she ever had making movies.
Okay.
And she had the highest hopes for it, and it didn't even do that great in the box office. And that's the kind of funny thing because there was so much kind of love. And we talk about movies a lot of times where like you could just tell when the entire cast and crew fell in love with the movie making process because they had to create like before this movie came out, there was only like Superman and like model planes.
You talking about the flying?
The
stuff?
flying for flying. So like having people actually lifted, above in the air because most of the sequences were actually shot in sound stages.
Yeah.
And CGI wasn't really there. So I mean, they had to use puppets for the wide shots. They had to use like a metal kind of crane that would lift them up for like the close-up shots.
Yeah, and
then
they had
the
another
wider
crane
shots.
that had like an axis that would allow them to tilt. and
Yes.
stuff.
But they had this was like the pioneering stages of like what we see now.
I was
like,
reading that Sarah Jessica
future.
Parker was so comfortable in it
She said
that
she
she
loves
would
it.
just stay there.
She
Yeah.
said
And
she
during
enjoyed
lunch
it.
break, she would just stay there and read or
Oh.
whatever. So
It's the same team. A lot of the CG is the same team that did like Honey, I Blew Up the Kid and stuff like that.
Honey,
So-
I blew up the kid.
Not Shrunk the Kids, Blew Up the Kid.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
third one
oh,
where
CG.
there's a
okay.
giant toddler roaming
There
around.
is a
Oh.
couple of CG sequences. So like they
never heard of
they
that.
actually had to like do a lot of layering, and this is like their time going into, and they all kind of looked at Jurassic Park as like the pioneer of CGI, and
Yeah.
they knew like we can't go that much because they were on the Disney Movie Channel budget.
Right, because
Yeah,
this was
right.
supposed to be a TV movie.
Yeah,
first.
and then I don't know why, but it all of a sudden got changed to motion picture and released theatrically.
Yeah,
This was the cast Bette Midler.
I don't know.
probably.
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 I mean, like, probably they were just banking on like we got star power.
I mean,
let's
Yeah.
try
and
it.
that's why they allowed the curse words that they had because TV wouldn't let
Yeah.
you do that.
But yeah, it's I mean, there's some CG shots like when she's chasing them in the car on the broom and they like knock her. It was like a big deal at the time to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Bette Midler was at the top of her game. Sarah Jessica Parker was kind of like coming out. Like
Yeah.
before she
I mean-
played smaller roles and then later on became Sex and the City. Like
Got
and
it.
before this she was like quote unquote like seen as like the ditzy dumb girl. And so like her
She was in
continu-
Footloose.
Yeah, and her being in this role like kind of shot her even further. It was like, oh, she can play with Bette Midler. And then
Oh, she's got comedy chops.
yeah, and then the other witch had been in Sister Act.
Yeah.
And she was like a very small actor before this point. So
Mm.
like there was a lot of like cool things upcoming where it's like, oh shit, like things are happening.
Yeah, I haven't seen. Yeah, I haven't even seen like any Sarah Jessica Parker movies.
Yeah.
Or any
you haven't seen Footloose?
No,
No.
me neither.
This is one of those. This is one of those. One of those
Yeah.
episodes.
It's one of those we realized we might quit.
All right.
I was fed cartoons,
That's fair.
and then I
fair.
was fed Species by my uncle.
Kaylin's like, what species?
It was a hard
I
transition.
don't know what that is. I really don't.
That's like a
Species.
hey, you're
Yeah,
grown
I
up
don't
It's
now.
an alien invasion
By sex.
movie, basically, where it's just like one alien, but she disguises herself as like a naked woman,
and she
and
has
tries
sex.
to impregnate herself.
I think I've seen that
But like
a little
like
bit
a praying
on
Hard R.
mantis
TV.
where like
She
they had
kills
sex
them.
and then she kills them.
Hard R.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hard
Hard
R.
R.
It was great. But I mean, with Hocus Pocus, like I think we mentioned it off screen. Jason Marsden voices Binks and dubs over the actual actor.
Yeah.
And Jason Marsden, as people may know, is like from Boy Meets World,
Eric's
Snapper
best
Car.
friend.
Yeah.
He's the voice of Max.
Goof Troop.
Goof Troop.
Yeah.
So, lots of things. 205 credits to his
Yeah.
name, which is
Oh
insane.
my wow.
He was really super big in the area, like in the 90s.
Yeah.
And I mean, like they all got back together. I don't know what year this would. Okay, no, I would know because 25 years later. So 5 years ago,
25 years later.
5 years ago, at the 20th anniversary, they had like a screening at Burbank, and then that's when they announced that they're going to do a remake.
Oh.
So there's been a huge cult following, and so that's why I say, like, if it's a classic, it's indeed a cult classic. And I call it cult classics is when they don't do well in the box office, but they later on found a huge audience after like its initial screenings.
Yeah.
And
That's
then
the
like
definition of cult classic.
yeah, that's why I was like, I think
And that's why
what-
you would call it that.
That's why I call it cult classic. So same thing with Fight Club. But yeah, I mean, $28 million to make, and then $39 million, but overall gross, which they thought it was gonna be like a huge blockbuster, like, but it did. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot that went into. I mean, there's a lot of theories about it, and
Yeah.
I mean, do we want to talk about that now, or we talk about that later? So one of the theories, and Corey, jump in if you want to help me out, is the book.
Mm-hmm.
It only opens up for witches and opens up for Winnie, the Sanderson witch, the main of the trio.
It awakens.
Awakens.
Yeah.
And we know that, the movie starts at 16, whatever.
93.
Yeah, 93. And the people that killed or murdered the witches, later on stayed and living in Salem. And Allison, who, stands by the legend, is very intrigued by the book. And she always like, let's go use the book. Let's open the book. The book opens up for her. She's the first one that wants to use salt. When you see her first, she's wearing a red overcoat,
Which
Mhm.
is very
much
reminiscent of what they're wearing.
very
in the beginning.
reminiscent of how the witches are dressed.
Oh.
When you see her at her Halloween party at her house, everyone's dressed up as what? Like older Victorian style. things.
Yeah.
So you can kind of tell she comes from good money. So she's probably is related to the family that, was part of the Sanderson hanging. And at the very end of the movie, the book opens up or awakens again. And all the Sandersons are gone. So there still must be a witch left behind.
Oh my god.
And even though she could walk on hollowed ground, maybe only that good witches could walk on hollowed ground.
Yeah.
And they call her good little white witch.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
There is that theory.
They do.
Um,
No, that's pretty legit. For
I
a
think
theory,
that's pretty bulletproof.
that's a.
Yeah.
You don't hear a lot of theories where you're like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
oh wow,
things
okay,
can happen.
yeah.
And she does return his phone number
Mm-hmm.
when he says that I don't believe in any
Yeah,
of that.
trick or treat. I'm like,
Oh
Anyways,
There's also like
Oh,
little
Tom.
things like Tom said. There's like little cool things that happen throughout this whole history or this whole making this movie, such as like I read through the trivia on the
Doug Jones.
So there's a part where he a moth.
Those
moth.
are actual moths.
There's an actual
What?
mouth flying out of his mouth, not CG. But the thing I was gonna say was that Sarah Jessica Parker, who plays a witch in this, discovered during the filming of this that her grandmother 10 times back, her great grandmother 10 times back, was actually arrested as a witch in the 1600s
Whoa.
and escaped a hanging.
and escaped a hanging.
What?
Oh my
How do you find
gosh.
something like that out?
She was on a show that was like an ancestry type show.
It was called "Who Do You Think You Are?"
Yeah.
So like,
Huh.
She ended up finding out like years later.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
those are cool things like that. But I mean, so Doug Jones ended up having to build dental dams,
mhm.
and they had like a handler that would put those moths in. And the funny thing is that like when they put the moths in, they have to be dry, right? They can't have saliva on them.
Yeah, because their
Right.
wings won't work.
Their wings won't work. And so it's funny because like they have to shoot real quick, right? So they put the moths in his mouth and they do the prosthetic, whatever crap. And they're about it. And so the moment they can get it, they start shooting. The light goes out and they're like, hold on. And
So
he's
just
like
sitting there with a moth in his mouth.
Oh my god.
And then finally it's like, all right, action. And then like apparently he cut himself. And then like there was a little bit of blood. He's like, I swear, from what he said at the 20th anniversary, he said, I swear I saw a moth surfing on my blood.
Oh no.
Jesus.
And I was like, that's so
so
Yikes.
funny.
Oh, poor moth.
But yeah, I mean, they use 9 different cats to use for Thackeray Binks.
Yeah.
And the cats, so cats 9 lives.
Eh?
Something right there. But yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of cool things about it, and like the more you end up finding out about it, it's kind of like there's a lot of good history. I mean, there's one really scary urban legend thing about it. Do you guys know about it, Corey?
No, I don't even know about that.
There's an urban legend thing about it where like, so they actually shot, I forget the actual shooting location for the house of Max. And they
Which
shot
is
on
dope ass room.
well, they shot on location, right? And apparently while Disney crew was there shooting, there was a legend of a dude like who would just watch, right? And so like when
dude who watched
like the shooting, like people like want to just gawk at like whatever being shot at.
Crowds gather for the film.
He would shoot, and like apparently
he would watch.
He would actually
happen. Yeah.
He was actually in some sequences.
Oh.
Like because they just like, okay, well he's not doing anything to distract the shooting, so there was in there, right?
Right.
And actually later on, after the movie was done and it premiered, the neighborhood stopped seeing this man, and then they went to investigate it. They found his body, and he was hanged. And he hung himself. And no one discovered him for so long that his neck elongated 3 inches.
Wow.
And then so now when you watch the movie, it's like, oh, this is probably the last few moments before he died.
Who's the guy?
I forget, but like I remember like reading an article, and I was like, what the hell? Because it's like this cool like things you didn't know about movies, blah blah, right? And
did you watch like one of those?
I read it.
Oh, okay.
Because I was doing a bunch of like just getting the actual details, like Hocus Pocus facts, and then done.
Let me see if I can find out the scene that he's
supposedly in. But it's supposed to be a wide shot, and it's very nondescript. But like I'm not gonna go scrub through the movie. But there's stuff like that in there, which I'm like, that's super cool.
That's unnerving.
I mean, the movie itself featured "I Have Put a Spell on You."
Yep.
Which is a really popular song for that year, and it's like I think it's part and parcel to like the Addams Family now in terms of like Halloween songs to listen to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's their, I guess you could say their rendition, their version of is kind of now, it's like now part of like playlists for Halloween. It's like that is, it's that version. It's not the original version. It's this version.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, this
is definitely a Halloween feel-good movie.
Yeah.
Even though it's got murder and burning people alive.
I was just going to say, like, I was watching it and I was like, as an adult, I was like, whoa.
Like, it's really heavy with a lot of the
like even
stuff.
the first, like when they hang them and like you have that
you just
classic,
see the legs.
like just their feet, and you're like, oh damn. Damn.
This is a kid's movie.
But like as a kid, I remember watching this, and like while there was a lot of morbid themes in it and things happening on screen,
Macabre.
I liked those movies more because I felt like, this is what happens in real life. Like it's still fantastical, but like it's real though.
Yeah.
Like this is something that would happen if these fantasy things were real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
Should we go into favorite parts?
I think so.
Let's go on favorite parts, baby.
Excluding the song.
Oh,
for me, you could say it.
Yeah,
I'll leave it for you.
It's a song.
I was always obsessed with Doug Jones.
Billy's
and I didn't
really
know
cool.
at the time he was Doug Jones.
Yeah.
I just always thought he was really cool. And then later on in life, I was like, that was fucking Doug Jones?
I didn't know until I started like rewatching it for this episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, it's just some dude who cuts his mouth open.
And I mean, there's a lot of, I was always jealous of his room. Like, he has
stairs up
quote
to like
unquote,
this.
he has a tough life. He's a teenager, right?
Why'd you make me move here?
Yeah. But he's got like a fucking tower. Like his
Yeah.
room is an attic tower that has stairs inside of it that go up to look out over the entire
it's pretty
city.
sweet.
Like you don't have that hard
Perfect
of a life.
Netflix
You have a
and
sister
chill
who you
spot.
get along with, you want to hang out with.
You've got this
Could
bae that's actually
follow us
interested in you
around.
too.
Who's giving you the time of day?
Yeah.
My God.
I loved. I mean, I think one of my favorite parts that always makes me laugh, and I think I brought it up in the car the other night too when we were driving home, is when they see the asphalt, the street for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
And she pushes Sarah onto it, and she like screams for a second, and then she starts going, "'Tis firm, 'tis firm." That one, and then the other line. Oh my God, my wife and I quote it all the time, but of course I'm blanking on it now. Come back to me and I'll have it. It's the one where she hits her in the stomach because she keeps repeating the one phrase.
Chunks?
No,
Boys chunks?
I'll come back to it.
But something about that too.
Amok, and then she just wallops her in the gut hella hard, and she goes,
Something really cool that happened was with the stunt team or the mechanics and the effects team. They actually had Bette Midler and the two other witches have their own rehearsal times
Mhm.
for when they were doing their broom stuff because they wanted all of them to mount their brooms in
Differently.
different ways.
Oh.
And in an interview, Sarah Jessica Parker said that she like explained to me you're a witch, and she's like she's the youngest but most evil. And the
Mhm.
reason why she in her mind says she's the most evil because like Bette Midler and Kathy's witches are evil by like learning it, and then Sarah Jessica Parker's is like I just became evil.
because it's all I knew.
It's all I knew. And she like, and this is with an old interview, like from with Katie Couric
Yeah.
back in the day. It's on YouTube.
Hmm.
And by the way, there's a shit ton of versions of this of the movie on YouTube, which I don't support
Yeah.
because they fuck up the aspect ratio. Anyways, but
Not stealing from the crew or anything like that.
the Sarah Jessica Parker said that she wanted her witch to be like the sultry, sassy, but also very innocent because she's
Mhm.
not that smart and she doesn't have that many rules. And there's apparently a lot of scenes with her cut out.
Really?
She was actually not that happy about it, but she's like, I get it. And it was really cool to see her like a young Jessica Parker at the beginning of her career, like be
She
like,
barely looks like herself.
she doesn't. And that's what made me very jarred when I saw
Yeah.
Sex and the City. I'm like, that's not the same woman.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Very,
Yeah, I have a
very
crush on her in
different.
this movie, 100%.
it's very hard to not, I think. And I'm very
Yeah.
much trying to not because I'm like, no, that's just lies.
It's not lies.
But it's not
How
like
is it
lies.
lies?
I'm more
It's
like
magic.
she's evil.
So,
Yeah, I know.
It's
Witch King.
magic, not lies. Yeah.
Which
See?
yeah,
It happens.
but it's so funny because it almost reminds me like if like Justice League and Marvel movies were made back then, she would totally be like a shoe-in for Harley Quinn.
Oh,
Holy
yeah.
shit.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
I also just love the book. My wife and I, this is like one of our favorite Halloween movies to watch. We quote it throughout the year. But that's how we have a cat named Sugar. We call Shug. And when we're in the house, we go Shug. Yeah.
Is that book supposed to be like the Necronomicon?
I'm assuming because made with human flesh,
Right.
So it's like definitely
and
never.
it's got an eye. So I'm assuming they just called it book and she made it sound interesting.
Well, fun fact, the Necronomicon and this book from this are actually based on a real book made from a real person named Billy Corder. I forget the year, in England, who killed a woman and buried her body, and they found her, and he moved and like married someone else, and they dug up the remains and figured out it was him and hung him and made him into a book.
Whoa.
It's a real thing.
Whoa.
A friend of my wife and I's from the Independent Shakespeare Company made a musical about it called Red Barn that they showed for a few years, and it's all based on fact, and it's phenomenal. So
That's
neither
literally-
of them are the Necronomicon because both of those are ripoffs from a real thing.
That's
I wonder if
Billy
Billy
Corder is
was
his name.
named Billy because of
Billy?
that too.
Possibly.
That's literally. Like
that was my
the,
first thought.
the
is
end
like,
of a Dane Cook joke, actually.
Oh,
which is
no.
Was it
so funny.
really?
Yeah, he says like, "I hope they make a book out of you."
oh,
In a joke,
oh,
it's really funny.
oh.
Kaylin, favorite parts?
The song,
The song.
"Come Little Children."
Oh, and she
Oh.
actually sings it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's actually her.
She has such an enchanting voice.
Who?
It's so beautiful.
The writer of that song wrote the song for Titanic.
Oh, I
And
can
then
see that.
Titanic had Leonardo DiCaprio, who was offered more money to be Max.
But he wanted to be in What's
Gilbert
Eating Gilbert
Grape.
Grape.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's all connected.
Yeah.
Hail Hydra.
What? No.
I understood that reference.
Good. Okay.
I mean, I also like when they pull the car up to the hut and the witches are like about to get somebody and they turn on the car lights and they're like, the sun.
yeah.
And that was great. And the moment when the little girl's like, F off. Like,
Thora Birch,
Yeah.
killing it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Standing up for.
Pretty-
Yeah.
Standing up for herself and be like,
I don't need
basically,
no man.
I don't need no man. Fuck off. Witches.
My brother sucks already, apparently. Loses his shoes and shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Uh,
Josh and Josh?
Those are my faves.
Gary Marshall as Satan
Oh,
and the devil. And they're like, Master! And he just goes with it.
And
The
he's
joke.
married to his sister,
Yeah. That's his sister.
Penny Marshall. That's his sister in real life.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I love when
That's
I love when the little girls steal the brooms.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
you just hear off screen.
I know.
You're like, well, dead kids.
That's also like the best Halloween they ever had.
Yeah.
The shortest one they ever had.
Oh.
I mean, there's so many good.
I mean, I love
anything with Billy.
design wise.
Billy, yeah.
I think they nailed the costumes. I loved the lead singer of the band. I thought his outfit was
Yeah.
always. I was like, one of these Halloweens, I'm gonna do that fucking costume.
Yeah.
One of these days.
Ooh. Also, Bette Midler, the spell on you when she like takes over the stage, and you can tell everyone's like, "What is this lady gonna do?" And then she starts in, and they're all like, "Oh, well, all right." And then
Speaking
everyone's
Latin and
into it.
everything,
Yeah.
The spell in Latin in the middle of the song.
The lead singer of the band there, I don't know why, but that whole seeing him just reminds me of the sequence in Flintstones when they go like get money and then they just break in song there too, which I was just like,
totally forgot about that.
but that, I mean, those kind of things, I'm like, God, these movies all do the same thing, but it's like,
Yeah.
and that's
like
why when we
it's
talk
a
about
formula.
tropes of the time, I'm like, no, that's like a flavor. It's like, that's how all the movies have to just stop for a fucking song for no reason.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
actually,
true.
fun fact about that song: when she comes on and she's like, "Hello, Salem. My name's blah blah blah. What's
Mhm.
yours?"
Yeah,
It's the
for-
same line from Gypsy, in a
Which
song
is
which
she
she was
the
in the
star of.
television version of.
Oh,
It's
that's
all
cool.
connected.
I didn't know that.
I went to school for musicals.
High five.
Yay!
Gypsy's a musical. It's really good. It's very good.
Ollie,
Ollie.
Ollie, Oxenfree, your favorite parts, baby.
I like the bus driver scene.
The R-rated ass comment.
Where he's
Yeah.
letting Sarah
He's like,
drive.
I want children.
Speed bump.
Well, no, I like the part where he's like,
We seek.
want children. He's like,
Children.
well, I need a couple tries, but I think I can manage or
And I
whatever.
was like, damn. And
Damn.
I mean, Sarah Jessica Parker is playing it up very hard
Yeah,
of
yeah.
like being seductive and shit. I'm like,
Like,
Jesus.
Well, no,
Can I get
Winnie
your number,
says it.
your area
Winifred says
code?
it.
Yeah, I know. But then like later on,
Oh,
throughout the whole
yes,
thing, "Ooh, can I
absolutely.
just play with you?" I was like, my God, play with the boys, relax.
And then the party where she's like kissing that, or like immediately kissing that one
Yeah.
guy dressed as a mummy. It's pretty
Yeah.
funny. I also liked when
It's one of her lines. Boys.
when the little girl finds her mom and she's like, what are you supposed to be?
Oh,
And
yeah.
she's like, Madonna, I mean, right? And she's like kind of doubting herself for a half second.
Can you
Aw.
tell?
That's pretty funny.
Can you tell?
You know what's actually it's one of my favorite parts because it's the most memorable for me as a child. It's actually when Binks gets ran over.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
he
and then he
inflates back up,
reinflates.
which I'm like, that's super cool. And then he's like, it happens all the time.
Yep.
And I'm like, dope. And then whenever like he's around, he's like, Binks as a cat, and I told Corey this, reminds me of Aladdin. Like
Yeah.
as a street rat, he figured out how to
Oh,
live.
yeah.
Scrappy.
But he's
smart.
super smart, and he's like just a smart ass. So I'm like, and he's like, you stupid wenches. I'm like, damn, he just took it straight to
Yeah.
him.
He's been alive
Um,
for way too long to
I was
give
just
any
looking
more
up. It
fucks.
is wench. I looked up the
Yes.
story behind it. So apparently Doug Jones was uncomfortable with it because he's
he
like,
was.
I don't feel comfortable. For those of you who don't
For a
know,
kid
Doug
movie.
Jones is fucking
best
huge. Pretty much
human.
anything Guillermo del Toro
Oh
you've
yeah,
seen,
he's very
in.
tall.
He's Abe Sapien in Hellboy. He is a master of he's
Physical.
in
Physical comedy.
what's the movie
Pan's
that just came
Labyrinth.
out?
Shape of Water.
Yeah, Shape of Water. He is a master
He's a
of
Silver
using his
Surfer.
body and in all sorts of ways. And this was his big break. Like this was it. So he had some qualms with saying bitch because he's like, kids are expecting to see this movie be happy and I don't feel comfortable having that be my message. So he kind of held that inside and was like, do I say it? Do I not? This is my break kind of thing. And then he talked to the director the night of his shoot and was like, can I try a line other than that? I've been thinking about it for a while and I just wanted, can I give it a shot? And so he was like, yeah, fine. He did the wench, but the line he had come up with was the stuff after it as well. The like,
Oh, it was all ad libbed.
the
Yeah.
troll something, broom riding.
Trollop.
Yeah, that was all him.
Trollop.
And the director loved it so much. They were like, let's do that for the rest of the night. And that was all they did.
Also,
man.
another
Good for
fun,
him.
another fun fact is when the whole gang is running towards the school to go burn up the witches. That school, that exterior, is the opening sequence for Friends.
Oh,
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh, no, the fountain.
The fountain, yeah, it's the
Fountain,
opening.
yeah.
It's the exterior.
That's
oh.
right.
Yes, Joshy Josh.
Can I share a fun fact about myself
Yes.
No.
Yes.
and Doug Jones?
Yes, please.
Did you guys share a
Um,
penis?
What?
What?
Okay, sorry, go on.
What does that even mean?
What does that have anything
Wanna
to do
know.
with anything?
Let you think.
They're
about it.
Siamese twins by the dick.
What the why just go down this road?
I'm sorry.
did you wanna
Yes,
share
you
something
and
personal?
Doug Jones.
Okay.
Here we are.
So I went to school for theater, and at one point, I got really interested in physical comedy, and so I studied Doug Jones like big time.
Oh,
Like, I went to Cal Arts on a for an acting thing this one summer, and I took physical comedy classes there. And because I was really into like Jim Carrey, he's very physical comedy in his early films, and Doug Jones, I would just study his stuff because you can find like his skits and physical comedy things and kind of almost mime-ish in a way, but he's incredible.
Yeah,
like Doug
he's
Jones,
super talented and a very genuinely nice guy from anyone I've met.
Super grateful for his
I
career.
honestly,
I just want to say the line real
quick.
quick because I looked it up because I felt bad not saying it after telling that story. The line that he says, "You buck-toothed, mop-riding firefly from hell."
Yeah.
That's
And they say hell.
amazing.
It's brilliant. Yeah, it's not as bad as
I don't
Bitch.
know, but I'm just saying this is still a Disney movie.
Yeah.
My favorite. Yeah. So yeah, those are my favorite parts. Or any parts with Binks. But I guess we can move on to favorite character.
Can
Yeah.
we? You said that with a question mark.
Favorite
Yeah.
character. Let's do it.
Sarah Sanderson.
Seriously.
To me, she has all the lines and moments that make me laugh the hardest. When I was a kid, it was absolutely Binks, 100%. But the older I've gotten, the more I've appreciated the
Her
comedy of
comedy.
the like "tis firm" or "amok, amok, amok,"
But
like that kind of stuff.
ooh, what a pretty spider eats it. I'm
Yep.
like, that's amazing.
Boys. When
That's
she
so
has
good.
the bullies, boys. Or she has a line in there that cracks me up every time. Which again, Disney movie guys. She goes, "Can we just put him on a hook and let me play with him for a while?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Holy shit! Put him on a hook and let me play with them for a while." All right,
Oh,
Hollywood.
Also another like cool thing, Kathy Najany.
Yeah.
She actually was not cool with the idea of like witches eating children and all that stuff because she wanted to represent witches in a positive light.
Oh wow.
So that was kind of a cool thing, like to know like
That's why they
everyone
don't eat them. They kind of like
just
They
inhale
suck
their
out
youth.
their youth.
Yeah.
And that was kind of cool thing where it was like she was kind of making a statement with that and like I don't
now
know.
witch culture is a huge thing.
But I mean like this is 1993.
Yeah.
And she said this on an interview like she was like, I want, to represent everyone the best I
Well,
can.
it is like as much as there's a boom of it right now, like there is a tradition, like a what's the word I'm looking for?
A history?
It's like a history.
Subculture.
Yeah, that comes along with it that like LA has adopted and it's whatever it is, but it does
Empowered
come from it's a
women who-
cultural thing.
Mhm.
It's not, it was a
It's-
much of a thing of gypsies back in the day.
Yeah.
I think it's more like spiritual energy stuff at this point
Yeah,
rather than
right.
full on like Wiccan or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
That's
But
what I was looking for. Thank you.
there is like an actual religion
You have to
for
be respectful about
Wiccan.
it, and that's cool that she was
My
about
best
that.
friend growing up, his family was Wiccan.
Yeah, I have plenty of friends who are Wiccan.
Yeah.
That's why there's
so-
a big controversy of Sephora selling a witch kit.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's like a pack with a crystal and cards.
Oh, of course.
Caitlin, favorite character?
Probably the combo of, and I cannot remember her name, the little girl,
Danny.
Danny and Binks.
Yeah.
Danny Binks.
Just
The ship?
because they're like, no.
They're like best friends.
Yeah. They're like best friends
Well, like,
going on an adventure
Because
together.
like I'm assuming, I
I feel like it
I'm
was
not
like a little
recalling off the-
surrogate sister.
Yeah, right. Isn't that what it is? Like
Yeah,
he's
he's-
like you remind me of my sister.
yeah.
I'm
And
gonna protect you and take care of you.
And he's
Yeah.
like, now I got my real sister. Peace.
Because I couldn't
Yeah.
take care of my sister.
bye.
To be fair, he did wait 300 years to see her again, so I get it.
That's fair.
well, he
It was
waited
like-
300 years for someone, a virgin, to light a candle.
Yeah. But yeah, Binks was just like a really great character and still is. Like even now thinking over it as an adult of like watching the movie again in my mind.
Yeah.
Binks is still my favorite just because like he's still technically like a little kid.
Yeah.
Even though he's like 300 something, he hasn't been able to grow up.
No.
He's like trapped in that moment of time.
Corey would call it Arrested Development.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I would. Oh, you know what other part I really like is the fire, and she's like, "It's fine, we have fire," and like holds it up to the sprinkler, and they
Oh.
freak out in the water.
yeah.
I love that. And he's just like, "I'm not wearing hockey pants."
Oh,
Wow.
no. Corey, why?
It's just water.
Tom saw it
Refreshing.
coming a
Well
half
done.
second before.
I was like, no. Joshy Josh, favorite character?
Joshy Josh.
Favorite character? I mean, I would say Billy.
Billy.
I mean, I do the sisters together as a trio. I just love the way that they play off of each other
Mm-hmm.
and just the comedy of just the back and forth. But I mean, if I had to choose one person, it'd be Billy.
Billy.
I just like watching him.
He's cool.
Ali Oxenfree?
Danny.
Danny? Little
Yeah,
girl?
the little girl. She's a little badass.
What? Strong women being your favorite character?
Oh no.
So
Surprise.
So predictable.
So my favorite character is a woman too, but you know what's funny? I was thinking about it and I was watching it,
Allison.
and I really didn't.
The teacher
like,
at the beginning.
I really didn't like when Danny just fell into the hay and started crying, and I literally had a PTSD flashback of Josh being, "But she's a fucking child."
I already knew where it was going before
She
you
is
even
a
said
child.
it.
Yeah, and I was just like, but I was kind of thinking, I was like, I remember when my parents told me I could stop. I like had to stop trick or treating. I was like 5.
Oh
I
my
was like,
gosh.
This bitch need to calm the fuck down. But I was like,
Aw.
also the context of the movie, he did just say, "Get out of my life."
yeah,
So I
he
was like,
did.
I remember
That's
saying
pretty
that shit
harsh.
to me and my sister, but I'm also like, I didn't cry in my room. But then I was also like, no, gotta let the child be, or else I'm gonna get crucified.
Mm-hmm.
Say a
It's true.
phrase.
I like
but
that you still criticized it in a way, but the way you said it, we can't really give you shit about it.
yeah,
You're like,
Because
I'm
you
not
already
gonna
gave
criticize
yourself shit.
this,
because it happened in my
but
mind.
I do.
It happened in my
I'm not
mind.
gonna say this stupid thing is stupid.
And I wasn't saying I was stupid. It was more like I had it a little worse. I get it, but yeah, I think Allison, if the theory is true.
Yeah.
If the theory is not true, then Spinks.
Yeah, things all day.
If the theory is true, fuck
Also,
yeah.
he's a cat, and cats are great.
Cats are great.
Yeah,
Cats are wonderful.
I like cats.
I love Shug.
That brings us to
Quams.
DJ Kwame Qualms.
Fuck you, Gripes.
Who wants to take it from here?
I will.
All right.
Wow.
They're not. Okay, so again, we've said product of its time.
Yeah.
There was one moment that I was like, really? So it's the introduction of Danny,
Okay.
and he's like sitting there and he's
Oh.
hugging his pillow, and he's like, "Oh, Allison,
You're so
Allison," and she
soft.
comes in,
I just
And then-
wanna. Excuse
and then
me?
she lays on the bed, and she's like, "Oh, kiss me like I'm Allison," and so and I was like,
No.
I could
No.
deal with the hanging,
Yeah.
but this was like the thing that I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's kind of a weird joke. Weird joke.
And then a new subreddit was born.
Oh,
my God.
no, Tom.
No, it just gets put on Rule 34.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh God.
100%.
Oh, worse somehow.
Is that your only qualm?
Yeah, I mean the other things are they're not qualms. They're just like, damn.
I got one.
Corey.
You got one?
It always bugs me, but it's not enough to ruin the movie for me. Virgin.
Oh, the virgin candle thing?
Not just that, it's how many times they say it, how many jokes they make about. I mean, even the last moment of the film when Binks is walking away with his sister.
I had to wait
"What
for a
took you so-"
virgin.
Yeah. Like, he's fucking 14 years old. Who gives a shit?
Give him a fucking break.
Like the guy at the motorcycle, you really a virgin? Yeah, he's 12. Like, I don't know. Like, he's in high, like, give him a fucking
well,
break.
again, this is the time of like,
First of all, he just moved here.
also, isn't this like a little bit after the baby boomer generation? So it's like they're just procreating for no fucking reason.
I don't know.
So it's like, I don't know. I feel like the whole virgin thing,
This is
because,
actually kind of the start of the millennial.
Yeah. Still, I mean, like,
but I mean,
he's talking about the people who are in charge.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
who
yeah,
are making
yeah, yeah, yeah.
things.
who are writing it up, because I know for a fact the writing had changed a little bit during production of like, they wanted to be like 12-year-olds versus 16-year-olds, or they wanted to be scarier versus a little bit less funny. You know, those are a lot of like ebb and flows
Yeah.
It's
versus
not-
what the original product was.
It's not
what product
the
is.
concept I have a problem with, because in witchcraft and cultures and the macabre and stuff like that, and Dracula and stuff,
Virgin is a big.
virgin is a big thing. Like, I get it. It's like a pure.
But then
thing,
these are people
quote
in
unquote.
human context.
If they would have said it once, great. Maybe twice, great. But there are.
The constant joke
There's
was
like 30
oh, so you're a
jokes about
virgin?
it.
You're
Yeah.
a virgin?
Yeah.
Oh, you're a virgin? How weird is that? Who gives a fuck? I'm 14. Give me a minute.
And
Yeah.
then American Pie was made.
Yeah. So, like, So for me, that especially that last moment
well, it was
really is the salt in the wound for me. Like, who you're telling your like dead 6-year-old sister that you had to wait for a fucking virgin? Like, who? That's not the first thing you say. Like, what took you so long? You could have just been like, I was defending a candle, bitch. Like, slow down.
but also
Worry about yourself.
But also when he's like, oh yeah, a virgin lit the candle, and then Danny looks like, way to go, airhead.
Yeah.
I was like, so waiting for her to say virgin, and I was like, I feel like they meant to write that there. 'Cause
Well,
it
she
felt-
says it a few times too, where
Yeah,
she's
but I
like,
was
he's a
like-
virgin. You're
I'm like, relax. Oh, there is a really funny part that I like. Is like, I don't have yabos. My brother loves your yabos.
Yeah. I do like that.
that
That I
was
like.
funny. That was pretty funny. Actually.
The other qualm I have is the bullies, and it's a it's not that they're included. It's just that they're, I mean, it's Bulk and Skull.
Yeah.
First of all,
100%.
but it just,
Well, it's a very the
me,
trope is
it's a trope that
back then.
it
To have
doesn't
bullies.
serve the story
Yeah.
to me.
It's a gag.
It is, and
It's a gag.
I think it would have been better served seeing more of the Sanderson sisters or more of like.
It
him in
doesn't
the
like
context.
come back in any way to.
No, in fact, it doesn't
There's
come
no,
back
like,
so much that at
payoff.
the end of the film they're
They're left
still
there.
in the cages.
And
Right.
they probably die.
They might probably die.
They probably die.
So
yeah, the museum will open on like Monday or whatever.
yeah, so
It'll be fine.
for me,
On
it,
Monday.
it was just kind of like a. It's not even that he
To
doesn't
make
even,
the California
he's being-
joke and
he doesn't even get back at him. It's not like even a redemption thing.
oh yeah,
Like yes, he takes
That's
his
true.
shoes back, but only
But he
because
leaves
they're in a
them there.
position that
and even
someone
when
else put them in.
even later on in the night when she's like, oh my big brother, he doesn't do anything about it. Nothing happens from it.
No.
Yeah.
So
True.
I think those are my two. If I have more, I'll try to interject. But I think those are the two that we get it. He's a virgin, and the bullies are unnecessary to the story.
Okay, Ren?
Other than moving's hard. We get that.
Buck up, Buttercup.
I mean, I watched it as a kid. I liked it as a kid, and
You're an adult.
like it's still for me. It's always like the impact it had.
I wish I had that
like
Must be nice. That's what I
specifically in this.
yeah, it's a
case.
timing. It's just like how I probably would have liked Cowboy Bebop more if I had watched it when I was younger.
Mhm.
Like, I watched Hocus Pocus when I was young, and I watched it multiple times when I was young, and I was like, man, I like the movie.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
now I'm like, I still like the movie. And even if I watch it again, I'll be like, hoo, that
it's
was
like-
a spicy little part they put in there, and I'm going to ignore it because I like this movie.
Well, it's it's just it's a talented cast. Bette Midler's, this is her favorite role she's
Mhm.
ever done, and she slays in it. Like she is
Yeah.
on. The three of them are all on point this entire movie. I don't think
Yeah.
there's a single scene where I'm like, oh, that doesn't seem right. They killed their character. They understood their characters fundamentally. They played them as truths, which I loved. They all had little quirks that they stuck throughout the whole film. Yeah,
Well, it's kind of an interesting concept to think about as now we're just grown up kids.
Oh, yeah.
Thinking of movies of like revisiting movies that you used to love when you were a kid.
Yeah.
And then you pick them up again as an adult and you're like, okay. I still love it.
Yeah.
But still you can kind of see the little
the
the
cracks.
holes, the cracks, and you're like, well, you know what? For me it's a nostalgia.
It's like, we're going to put the nostalgia Band-Aid on that crack
Yeah.
and not look at it anymore.
Yep.
I didn't,
Kind of.
That's fair.
but
I wish I could
Honestly,
have it.
if I rewatched
I
it
was
again, I'd
avoided that
probably have
Band-Aid.
I would probably have the same issue,
Yeah.
especially about the virgin thing, since that's like I get that they needed to talk about it based on like how important it is to the religion.
They're
but
treating it as big of a deal as they treated Steve Carell in 40-Year-Old Virgin, and that didn't make
Yeah.
sense to me.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's like 14.
yeah.
Not 4D.
Yeah. So, Tom,
You know what's funny? I remember writing up the notes for this and like looking up like the budget and all that crap, and then remember seeing a
You remember
specific.
it?
Yeah,
when was it?
it was like a month ago at this point.
Damn.
And reading one specific number, which is from a website that I could care less about, and it's Rotten Tomatoes,
Rotten Tomatoes.
and it's at a 30%
Yeah.
Rotten Tomatoes.
Excuse me?
And so for me again, reviews don't mean much because reviews don't like take a lot of time to analyze. I feel like.
What's the
Analyze.
example you always use of Rotten Tomatoes?
Fucking Pokemon is 19% and Twilight's at 54.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Some bitch baby bum
Oh.
bad
First
bullshit.
Pokemon movie, which is a great
Oh.
film.
Yeah.
It
Is
has one of the
19?
greatest lines about humanity of all fucking time from a Pokemon.
And
I've
then
got a little bit
Twilight's
of,
got
like-
55.
silent rage happening right now.
Yeah. Anyway,
just saying.
continue your point though.
Okay.
And so I mean for this, like, you can definitely look at like all the things like, oh, the acting is blah blah blah. And like if they were to make this movie now at the exact same thing, it wouldn't stand quote unquote to like all the criticisms and blah blah because everyone's a fucking critic and we see it on every YouTube channel.
Yeah. Because it was a flop.
Yeah. I mean technically it made
At the
its
time.
budget back. It
Yeah.
made its budget back as technically that's all you technically need to
But
make.
it wasn't a hit.
It wasn't a hit and it won't make a sequel. It only makes a sequel out of like fan demand, which
Yeah.
it's gonna make. I mean, for me, like it kind of goes back with Corey. Like the bully thing, I would have wanted Max to have to save them, and that was my big thing because like you look at the development, everyone
Be the
has,
bigger person.
Well, everyone has a bit of a development sequence in there, and the only thing that you get from Max is that he ends up sacrificing himself for his sister.
Yeah.
There's not much that he's still as reckless. He's still,
Even the Power Rangers save Bulk and Skull.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in Power Rangers later on, like there's Space Force, Bulk and Skull are the ones that unite the world.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, like the bullies don't do anything other than like take his shoes to be like, hey, there's Nike. Thanks for the
Hollywood.
promotion. I kind of felt like I didn't like, I don't know, Danny irks me in some ways because she's like strong-ish, not strong entirely.
Almost
because
like she's a little kid.
Because she's a kid, right? but the thing that's tough.
So one might say she's a kid.
Well, the thing that's tough is that like if Danny and Max were age reversed, Danny would have handled the situation before 9 p.m.
That's fair.
But the thing is that she's like still a kid, and so she's still like afraid or
Tom
just
doesn't
screams.
like the children.
I don't like kids. You need to shut up in theaters. Anyways.
Wow.
Yes, they do.
But I don't know. There was just some things I wish like they didn't play her so vulnerable at times. I wish that she could have been like like not hardened, but like stronger compared to Max. Because Max,
She is stronger compared to Max, technically.
She is.
Because she's also moved away and had to make new friends.
and she's chill, and she's like, "Well, get over it. This is your life now." I'm like,
yeah.
damn straight, bitch. I moved fucking 12 times in my life. Anyways, and like there's a part where he just gets slammed by his own drum set, which reminded me of Evil Dead. He's just getting his ass whooped, which that was hilarious. But then like, and Danny's just kind of like almost MacGuffined, where it's like, steal the kid, now you have to save her. It's like, well, okay. And then
Because it's a parallel with the earlier story.
with the earlier stories, but then also the whole like, we're getting all these children. I'm like, it just kind of never plays out.
Yeah.
I really wish like,
Are the kids still wandering the town?
yeah. And I was like, could you explain a little bit
Want to wrap
more?
this up for me?
Yeah.
Could you explain a little bit more? Because like, I mean,
at one point there's like one street that is just all kids.
And
There's
this is
so many.
and I'm going to say this is probably some baggage that I bring in every movie where there's a villain. I always 10% of me wants to see the villain win and wants to see the hero have to overcome that. Because it's kind of like, I want to see what happens. Let's just see.
Yeah.
Instead of like, oh, we have to do it before and then things will stay the same the way they are right now. It's like, but let's see what happens if things actually changed.
Yeah.
And then bring it back to the way it was.
Yeah.
Like, weird side tangent is when Mummy Returns is when fucking he brings in the Scorpion King's army. Like, fuck, yes. I want to see this shit.
Yeah.
And then you see it happen. You're like, okay,
Back to the Future 2.
let's fucking go back now. Okay, we've seen it. Now we're done. You
Back
know?
to the Future 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I would like to see them like get all their powers and then then they step on holograms. It's like, okay, cool. I'm done.
Gotcha.
So,
So that moves us to Ali.
Ollie Ollie Oxenfree. How do you feel about it from 2 hours ago?
It's interesting that you mentioned that this was originally going to be a Disney
movie.
a TV release because it kind of felt that way in a lot of ways.
Doesn't it feel like a more adult version of Halloween Townish?
Yeah. A lot.
It was, yes, but in the not in good ways. Like to me, it was like I had an issue with like a lot of the plot. Like the kids were just like they were looking for police, and then they were looking for their like parents, and then they're just like running around. I was like, they're not even like trying to like solve the problem, like because they like do they know that? I mean, they kind of know that they have to maybe survive till sunrise, but
Almost like they're kids.
almost as if they're like kids, yeah. Which is like, you know, there's been plenty of kids movies
Fucking
Yeah.
child.
with
Yeah.
children that like Home Alone, like he comes up with the solution for it or whatever. But like, I mean, like,
The thing about children genre films though, they in every scene they have a new objective.
Mhm.
And the cool thing about that you get away with in storytelling is that you don't have Mr. Exposition or Mrs. Exposition. You would think Thackeray Binks would be that person, but he kind of just explains where they're at the moment.
Oh, I had one more qualm.
Like he doesn't sit down and be like, hey, in order to do this, we gotta do this, 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 and this. He's just like, bro, you open the book, you're a virgin. Hey, this is William, blah, 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 and da 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 da. Hey, they can't be here, it's hologram. Like he doesn't really say like, hey, let's sit down and stop, and they cut away to something else and bring back. So this is how we stop the witches.
I wish I had more context for it because I've had plenty of movies when I was a kid that I loved. Or like a good example is like the N64.
Mhm.
Like when you had that thing, it was like the best graphics you've ever seen in your life.
Potatoes.
Now it's like, it's a scattering of colors that I can barely make out with my eye. And like, I feel bad, like saying this about Hocus Pocus, but like it almost felt like a weird episode of SNL or something.
Wow.
Like it was like I was like, you're just dressing these characters up just to like do like the bus driver comedy bit or whatever.
Oh, each
And like I know I feel terrible saying
each
it.
scene felt like an
Grumpy
SNL
thing to
sequence.
say.
Yeah,
I can see what you mean.
it felt like a stitch, like a bunch of things stitched together.
And I think it's because the way it was shot on very small scale things.
Yeah,
They
but
didn't
it's a
shoot-
product
they
of
didn't
its
shoot
time.
a lot of on location.
Like they could achieve that now with SNL. You know what I mean? Like it's I can't appreciate it for what it was first time because I was not, I didn't have it when I was a kid.
I hate to speculate, but it does beg the question how the remake will be because they'll be shooting on digital, no doubt, because it's cheaper,
Yeah.
and they will have
Well,
more
they,
assets.
as of this point, they did not ask the original cast to come back.
They 100% have not asked them. To come back.
So my guess is probably shit.
So I guess what I'm getting at is like, I would have been okay with the look of it and the age of it or whatever if it had like a more compelling like plot or whatever that I could have enjoyed watching or enjoyed.
I mean, the plot's pretty simple. Of like witches come back, they want to absorb one child so they get their strength and then live amongst the us.
Yeah.
Before the sun
But
rises.
I mean,
and
like
happens to
it
be
was
the
like
character's
loosely,
sister.
whatever.
If I can ask,
don't know,
what
yeah.
were you about to say? What's loose?
Loosely
missing?
like the rules of the universe and like getting into the lore of witches and stuff like that. I felt like it wasn't like explored enough. I don't know.
I mean, it's a short comedy kid
Right,
movie, and so
yeah.
that's why like
I'm supposed to appreciate it for its like comedic value and for its like whimsy.
yeah, I mean, like you don't know a lot about Max and what's his deal, other
and I
than,
wasn't even
he's a
like
moody
swept up
kid
into the
film.
whimsy of it too much
Yeah.
either. So that was kind of.
I mean, and again, like the whole like lore thing behind like Allison, it's like it's not explained at all. But you
yeah,
kind
I
of
didn't
infer
capture
it.
my imagination as much as
Okay.
I wanted.
That's a good way to put
Hmm.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
Hmm.
I had one last qualm. Why did Binks wait to talk?
until
until
after
that's
the candles already-
immediately what I thought.
Because if he just been like, yo, don't touch that,
don't light it.
they'd be like, a fucking talking cat? Are you serious? Never would have lit it. But that, again,
But could he
Yeah.
always talk?
But
there's
I wonder,
nothing magic that happens that allows him to talk suddenly.
well, it
Not
could
even,
be
like,
technically
with
where that the
candle
witches
being
come back.
I feel like this filmmakers would have shown that to you.
Yeah.
I mean, also this is like the producer of Child's Play, and he says like it's a voodoo doctor that put a soul in a doll. So I'm like, sometimes it's a loose magic system.
Then in that case, they should
But
have
it's explained in Child's Play.
that little
Mm.
thing.
not all of it though.
But it's
that
it's
he
attempted.
didn't talk.
Before
Like, why
he
didn't
just
he talk?
attacked Max, and that
Yeah.
was it.
But
Like they could have shown like him being washed over with like energy or something.
I took away from that he probably has like tried to talk in the past,
Yeah.
and it was never met well because people were like, witches are bad, talking
Yeah.
cats are bad, and tried to like kill him, and he was like, I'm tired of getting killed.
I mean,
So-
But
actually,
doesn't he like rub on his dad's leg and his dad like kicks him
get away, you beast.
Like,
Oh,
he
that's
should've
what I would
talked then,
say.
Maybe tried.
That's
tried
what I
to
would
talk
say.
then.
Actually, it's probably the candle,
Yeah.
because once the candle comes back, the
then I
magic
would have
comes back.
loved for them to just nod at that.
Just be like, I can talk
Like
now since you
explain
lit
it.
the candle. Blah blah.
Yeah.
blah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Mm.
because he does rub on his dad, and it's like, you beast.
yeah.
And I was like, that's really
5
Why would you
seconds of
just-
exposition.
Talk to him.
It's like, okay, well now,
Must have been the candle.
Yeah.
or it's like
Yeah.
shit's really now fucked up, so I have to speak.
something like that. Cool.
Yeah.
Now we must rate.
Great.
I do want to add though that I
Yeah.
did. I was like all negative Nancy there for a second, but I did
This is
like it was an
rom-coms.
enjoyable watch. Like I liked the witches; they did a really good job.
Who's your favorite witch?
Sarah.
Yeah.
You
You got it right.
Did I say? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I said Danny was my favorite character.
I don't know, I'm just saying.
Sarah would have been my second favorite character, whatever. And it's like, yeah, I'd watch it again if it was on during Halloween. I'd be curious to like watch it with a group of people.
Movie
and,
night.
like movie night, yeah, like Halloween. Let's do it. You know.
It's fun.
Also, watching something for the first time just to think about what you're going to talk about it,
Mhm.
rather than watching it with a group of people who are like
Part of the experience.
part of the experience, it changes things.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah,
You're the
let's
critic,
rate.
sorry.
Let's rate.
So let's rate. So Josh and Corey have 0 votes,
Yeah.
so they must start.
For me, this is a classic movie. Again, it's become a tradition in my household. The whole virgin bit takes a bit off for me, especially it's bugged me in the past, but the older I've gotten, the more I'm just like, God, like we get it. So I would have to give this a 4.5.
Wow, that's a lot higher than I thought you were gonna go.
4 point.
My God,
Yeah, 4.5.
Joshy,
That's-
crash.
I mean, that's what I was going to say.
4.5.
4.5.
4.5. It does have some nostalgia stars, but it also has things that I'm like, I'd take some
Things away.
I'd take some points away.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, especially comparing it to a lot of other Disney Channel original movies. Like this is calibers above those.
Yeah.
For me.
Jeez.
Caitlin has one. I have one. So Caitlin first. Ladies first.
I would say maybe like a 4.9.
Okay.
Just because,
Damn.
like, I really like the movie.
Yeah.
I like the movie.
But
it isn't like
a masterpiece.
not
pretty close.
that. I just really enjoy. Maybe I should slide it to a 5. I really
I'm not
like
here to change your mind. You said
didn't expect
4.9
that you
for a
would.
reason.
I
I was just
did.
asking
Like,
why.
what's that other witch movie that came out recently?
Honestly, it's almost because I've heard you guys point out these things that I remember, and I'm like, well, yeah, that wasn't there.
That's fair. That's a valid point. So 4.9.
So I think it's a 4.9 with that little squiggle behind it that's like, kind of.
I have one. You know what I also did was kind of funny? He didn't come home with his shoes. It must be some kind of protest because
Yeah.
I feel like protests were really big at that time too. So like there's cool things like that where
Oh, how the times have changed.
well to me older films I know, right? Older films I do love that fact where you do get to know a little bit of knowledge, whatever is like
Going on.
sensationalized in a film.
Yeah.
So like, you know,
What was
we
the pop culture of the time?
we talked about Dark Knight. Well, you know, like that
Oh,
stuff.
witches
where-
were big then. I was just thinking Witches of Eastwick. There was
Yeah.
the movie
Charmed.
called Witches, Charmed.
Blair
Bewitched.
Witch,
Yeah.
Blair Witch.
Yeah.
Blair Witch was
Um,
When was
huge.
that though? That was like 97.
Sabrina, the Teenage
Maybe
Witch.
I'm
Sabrina the
totally wrong.
Teenage Witch was amazing.
Yeah, Melissa Joan Hart. Oh, bless my soul.
Mhm.
Anyways, for me, this is like I kind of go upon it looking at it like how well has it stood the test of time, but also how much do I enjoy it, but
99.
also comparing it to like other films that would have been made in that time frame, right? And I think about it, I would have to say it's a 3.6.
Okay.
3.6. Solid 3.6. Like to me, like comparatively to like Flintstones or something like that, like it's a little bit more tied up together.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more pleasantly presented. But the thing is that it would have been lower, but then I know for what it is and how it was shot, the time, the way the witches were flying was fucking phenomenal.
What went into it, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like how they were able to superimpose them into the roof of the shots, like unheard of.
So you're
Kinda
giving
like-
them like
kinda like
technical
how I-
points.
I give them a lot of points for that
Okay.
because it's kind of
Technical points.
Yeah.
I was going to call them Deadpool points.
Oh.
It's the same reason I gave Deadpool a higher.
well, yeah, technically, yeah. So I mean, like for me, it's like I get it, and like there's a lot that went into it, and so like I appreciate that technical aspect of it, but also like it looks like for what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so 3.6 solid for me.
Wow.
Ollie.
Ollie.
Oxen free.
Mine is a 3.0.
Oh,
I knew it.
I win.
I win.
win.
I guessed the ground.
Knew it. The Craft. Have you seen
Oh,
the
the
Craft?
craft.
Oh.
But that's
No,
like,
I'm not
not
saying-
recent.
Well,
No.
no, it's
Because
not-
you were
it's not
like,
recent.
came
No,
out
no, no.
recently?
well, no,
I've
you're
seen it
talking about
recently.
like that
Oh,
time
yeah,
frame.
yeah,
of
yeah.
it.
Like
The 90s.
that's one end of the spectrum,
Yeah.
and then there's like, I don't know, like Nightmare Before Christmas.
Mhm.
Like I like give me one of the extremes.
It plays in the middle.
If it played in the middle and it didn't do either one too
Interesting.
well enough,
It's like
well
not
enough
enough
for me.
kid stuff, but also not enough witch
Right.
stuff. I get you, I mean.
That's kind of the
Because
summary.
and now I get your qualm of like the witch stuff didn't get you in like lured into wanting to know more about witchcraft
because
and
the whimsy
lore.
wasn't there
Yeah.
as much.
And then the kid
so
stuff
I
you
was
could-
I want like make it up to me with lore
or
the other way
make
around.
make the kids make the kids more likable for you. I
Right.
get it now. I get you. I feel you, baby.
Man,
Yeah.
Okay.
Lady.
that,
Lady.
that especially makes me really feel solid about my 4.9 squiggle.
Good.
I said
Cool.
blaby like blood and baby. Any gushes?
I mean, we kind of did that
Yeah.
when we were
Yeah.
explaining the film. I
The
mean,
movie is great.
Vacuum broom.
Yep,
Vacuum broom.
Vacuum broom is
And
fucking
how
dope.
she
She
swings it. And she goes,
into
"Oh."
It's
Will always get me. Will always make me laugh.
funny continuity error is that Sarah's hair is always fucking different.
Is it?
Is it?
It's
Oh.
curly,
really?
straight, curly, straight, curly, straight.
Oh, I never noticed that
I'm
before.
like, pick, please, thank you.
Maybe that's
I
part
wonder if
of
it
her
has anything to
magic.
do with
Nah.
the water.
It's part of her magic.
Not.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know.
The wa- Disfirm. Man, I just want to give another shout out to Sarah Jessica Parker for this role because all of the one lines that she has that are almost under the radar, because it's always off something that Winnie says or something like that,
Yeah.
like the tis firm or amak, 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 amak.
She's constantly like not aware of what they're doing. She's like,
Yeah,
what are
and
we
she's
doing?
almost childlike, which is kind of funny. She's like this again. She's like two extremes. Like,
But she's very evil still.
And
yeah, she's very
terrifying.
childlike, but also very, very like sexual and terrifying when she needs to be.
It's
But
Harley
then
Quinn.
also,
It's Harley Quinn.
yeah, yes, okay,
It's
you're right.
So good. It's
You're
really good.
absolutely right.
So good.
I just it's one of those for me. Again, having that tradition every year. It's one of those warm blanket movies. For
I
me.
gush for the practicals.
Yeah.
The moths, the flying,
Yeah.
inflating a cat.
I always kind of wondered, even as a kid, how did he have those moths in his mouth?
Now we know.
Dental dams, baby.
Yep.
And then also
Dental
the
dams.
little Easter egg of Michael Myers.
I didn't know he cut himself.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
There's
Michael
Michael Myers in
Myers?
the movie.
What?
I didn't notice that.
Before they go to the devil's house and the witches go inside the house, they scare off trick-or-treaters.
Oh, yeah,
One
yeah,
kid's
yeah,
wearing
yeah.
a Michael Myers
Yeah.
mask.
Oh.
One of them's gonna get up.
Yeah.
But
And the
yeah,
girls that steal the brooms are dressed up as the Sanderson Sisters.
Gary Marshall hijacking the movie for 5 minutes is
Mhm.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's hilarious, even if he is playing husband to his own sister, Penny Marshall, who is again hilarious. Just always struck me as odd.
Yeah.
But like whatever. They were probably just like, you guys want to make a couple grand? Like, yeah, all right, let's do it.
Was she like?
Fair. Fair
Because
point.
like I felt like it was like she was like a reveal.
She was.
She
Because
was?
she was in the chair the whole time, and she
Yeah.
sits up, and you're just supposed to be like, oh shit, it's Penny.
Oh, I guess I'm not familiar with her.
You know, I'm looking at
She was in Laverne and Shirley. She's a
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of a nod for the parents.
Yeah,
The
nod for
parents
the
at
parents.
the time, like
Okay.
watching, going, "Oh my god, that's Gary Marshall and Penny Marshall! Whoa,
yeah.
and Bette Midler."
Got it.
Oh
They were
my
like
gosh.
they were like on Happy Days and stuff like that.
Got it.
That was their big break.
Okay.
You know, I'm looking at like the writers and like what they worked on. It literally sounds like an elevator pitch. It's just like, think of Mystery Men and Critters 2 with the kids of the Sandlot. Because those are like all
The
with the
Mystery Men
screenwriters. It was three
several years.
screenwriters, and it was like all them.
Yeah.
They all worked
Because
on
of the
those.
Sandlot were better.
I think I've seen that.
I own Mystery Men. If we want to do an episode on that.
Mystery Men is amazing.
I think I've actually seen that movie.
Whoa,
Anyway,
Mystery Men
I feel
is
complete.
Amazing.
I feel complete.
I feel complete.
This
I've
was-
completed.
Oh.
Well, yeah.
Why, Tom?
Happy
Every time.
October, y'all.
Why?
Yeah.
Happy October. Fall leaves, pumpkin spice lattes,
All Hallows Eve.
vanilla spice candles.
Halloween is
From
my
all
favorite
of
holiday.
us. Yeah, my family's too. It's my dad goes. Maybe I'll post a picture of it this year. My dad goes fucking nuts on our front yard on
Yeah.
Halloween.
That's
Same
awesome.
He does
Same.
this thing where I think I talked about it on
Mhm.
one of the episodes.
We talked about it on our
but
Halloween's or our Halloween.
Caitlin's
Hour.
not aware of it. For those of you who don't know, my dad goes so crazy that he makes a new decoration every year, builds it himself.
Oh,
So
wow.
we have like a wolfman on the roof. We have a scary clown that hangs by the garage. We have Freddy Krueger in the ground. We have a bunch of different coming out of the ground with like smoke and lights. And he adds a new one every year and leaves them up. And then on Halloween night, he himself replaces one of them so that the kids in
Oh,
the
wow.
neighborhood don't know which one he's going to be and terrifies the shit out of people.
Oh,
And I get in on
my
it when I'm
God.
home, like the clown that hangs all year. He puts them up early in October. So people
Mhm.
walk by all month and come see the house and da 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 da. And then we each just kind of slip into one of them and make it come to life. So
wow.
there's this
That's fucked
clown
up.
that hangs on bungee cords. And I could
Ugh.
like swing forward on these bungee cords and it would pull me
Yeah.
back afterwards.
Corey, with the length of your
What?
hair right now, you could be like Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
All right, cool.
What was,
cool, tight,
just
tight, cool,
because
cool, cool,
we're
cool,
talking
cool,
about
cool,
Halloween
cool.
and now I kind of want to know, what was your favorite costume for Halloween?
I only had two.
To be?
That I ever did?
Yeah.
Edward Scissorhands.
Edward
made
Scissorhands?
it myself. Yeah.
What
My
about
dad
you,
and I
Josh?
made it.
I was pretty proud of my Super Mario I did in college because I had no money and I just looked at what I had and I made Super Mario
was a
costume. I think I
DIY.
had to buy a mustache. That was it, like a fake mustache.
Wow.
Because I couldn't grow a mustache at the time.
But that makes those costumes
Yeah.
even better.
I somehow made a pretty good Super Mario costume.
Dang.
Anyway,
Oh yeah, Alex and Free.
It was Silent Bob.
Nice.
For years and years.
Yeah. Who was your
Jay.
I never got a J.
This year?
Aw.
Is that what we're doing?
Yes.
Oh yeah, we
Thanks,
should
Cor.
plan out costumes. Tom, what were you?
What were we supposed
so
to
I mean,
do?
as a kid, I literally had like 2 years of trick or treating, but like it was just like Sub-Zero. But because I'm an Asian kid. But you know, funny story in terms of like Halloween costume was like like 2 or 3 years ago in LA in Hollywood. I went out to the bars with my friends and I just wore a Goku shirt, and everyone was like, "It's Goku." I was like, "Bro, I'm just wearing a T-shirt." But all my friends were all dressed up, and I got way more like, "Oh my god, it's you! Let's take a picture." I'm like, I'm not dressed
I'm
up.
just wearing a shirt.
And I'm Asian. You're racist.
Yeah.
This guy's a fucking pirate.
That's
Oh,
hilarious.
poor guy.
But yeah.
Kaylin, did you share yours?
I did not.
Oh, go.
Who's
I
up
was
for
a
it?
ring wraith.
Of course you were.
I did a full body, like multiple part ring wraith costume.
And you have the pictures of
Nice.
this to post?
I think so, somewhere. It was my favorite to like, because it was like an underdress and then it had the full cloak with like long ass sleeves and hood. Then I'd also wear the faceless mask. And
Also,
because
Dementor.
I mean, okay, shut
I'm
up.
kidding.
But because I didn't have the armor to like clink when I walked, I literally draped myself in industrial chains
Wow.
underneath so that every time I walked, you'd hear like
You would
clink.
hear it.
And the best part was like I was doing this when I was like 12.
Yeah.
And every time we went trick-or-treating, I noticed all these guys I knew from school were like, oh, sweet costume, like sick costume, bro. And I'm like, thanks,
Sweet Dementor.
man. Thank you. Thank you so much. That was my favorite thing
Like,
to do.
oh my God.
It's cool, Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
Grim Reaper.
Tell us yours at home.
Yeah.
Who's your
Yeah.
favorite Halloween
Post them
costume?
pics.
Who's your favorite
Post
Sanderson
all of the
witch?
pictures.
Yes,
I
send
just
us
want to live
pictures.
Halloween this month.
If you dressed up as a Sanderson witch or as Binks the cat, which Jason Marston did apparently, post those. Send those our way. Slip and
Yeah.
slide into our DMs, as I always say.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening. We always appreciate it.
Yeah.
Giving us your ear holes.
Thanks for hanging out, y'all.
If you are new to Nerd On, you can get all the info over at nerdon.tv. It's got everything there, all of our socials, our contact page, all of our articles,
Links to our other stuff.
Yeah, linky
Got our
links.
It's a trope
YouTube
time, our
channel.
new
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
Our Twitch
We have
streams.
a show that started a couple months ago. So trope time. Yeah.
New games we're playing.
so much stuff.
All the things. Do
and
all the things.
more coming
Yeah.
soon.
All the time. But you know the drill. As always.
Nerd on.
Ending broadcast.